Greetings everybody, myself Palkumar Pat. Welcome to the new video of LeetCode problem solving series. Today we are going to solve 1876 substrings of size 3 with distinct characters. So now this problem would look really simple in first look because we are just need to deal with 3 length of substring of the given input string, but it's much harder to completely resolve the problem that we are given. Today we are going to solve this problem by starting by understanding the problem and moving to the brute force approach and then getting to the most optimized one for solving this problem. So let's understand first what the problem is trying to say. So let's go with an example to understand in a better way. We are given an input string which contains number of alphabets in it, and our task is simple. We just need to start from the first character of the given input string, move to the last character of the string, and during the iteration part we just need to go through all the substrings which are possible present for this string, like in a row only, and then get to check if all the substrings of maximum of length 3 and minimum 2, like the length of the substrings are fixed, it's 3 and 3 only. We just need to check if all these substrings, from all of them, we just need to count the number of substrings which contains distinct characters in it. Okay, as you can see, I have made all the possible in a row substrings of this given input string of length 3, and from all of these 4 substrings, only this one is the string which contains all the characters distinct, which is x, y, and z. So we will return that number of count, which will be 1 for this input string. So this is our simple task which we need to solve. So let's continue by getting for the brute force approach to solve this problem. So let's just think what we can do in a most straightforward way. So obviously we will start by iterating from the start character to the end character. That's obvious. But see, we are dealing here with substrings, and you know that for substrings we just need to check according to the problem, we just need to check the side by side characters too. So while iterating we will be having a requirement to check next characters and next to next characters too. So we have one thing clear, that the for loop or the loop that we'll be using for solving this problem, it won't go till the last character because we are checking next as well as next to next character. So if we get to the end character, like if we move to the iterate to the last character, then in that iteration, last iteration, we will have out of bounds error, which can cause our problem to not solve perfectly. So let's just first write the for loop that we will be using for solving this problem. Okay, obviously before that we will need a normal integer count, which we will be returning at the end of the program, which will contain the count of the number of substrings which contains distinct character. Okay, so as I mentioned, let's just start our for loop, which will obviously not run till the last character. It will run till the last third character because we are checking for the substrings of length 3. So for last third character, if we move till that, then and then only we can check the last second as well as the last character for our problem according to the problem. So keeping that in mind, we will run the for loop only and only till the last third character. Now you will be thinking to write the complete part this way, like s.size minus this, but this can't work because for your kind information, dot size is an operator which returns the value in unsigned integer. Okay, it returns in the form of signed integer because it returns only and only positive as well as 0. Like if it's 0, then it will return 0, otherwise it will only and only return positive integers too. So for example, if we have a test case which contains 1 or 2 length of string only, then this will give us an error because loop can't run till unsigned, like negative integers. Okay, if s.size is, if our input string contains the length 1 or 2, then what will happen here? 1 minus 3 or 2 minus 3, which will give us negative integer, which can cause an error to us while we'll run this for loop. So instead of writing -3, we will just move it to the start part, which will give us here a +3. Simple and sorted, mathematically done. Also, instead of less than only, we will use here less than equal to, because we don't want to get to the last two characters only. And by writing +3, we are only also using last third character 2, which we want to add in our loop. So we will use here equal operator 2 with less than operator. And obviously it will run forward only, so plus plus. And now let's think what we can do inside the for loop. So now we know that after iterating, like during the iterations, what our task is that we will take a substring, okay, of length 3 from our given input, and in that substring we will check if there are distinct characters inside substring or not. If there is distinct characters, we'll just increase our count variable which we are having after the for loop, and if it's not distinct, we will just move to the next iteration. Simple and sorted. Okay, so let's just do that. Now for checking if substring contains distinct characters, I have one method in my mind, that first of all we will use a hash based structure. For example, a map, because in my mind I have a like way to check this part if distinct characters are present or not. Because just think, if a substring contains only distinct characters, it means that if we store that substring's frequency, like let's say we have this substring only x, y and z. Let's say I store each and every character's frequency in a map. A hash based structure it is map. So if I store each and every character's frequency inside a map for this substring, then that map's size will be equal to 3, because each and every character will have its frequency equal to 1. So every key and value pair, that number of key and value pairs will be equal to 3. So I think you would be getting what where I am getting to solve this. I will iterate through the substrings, which I am doing here by using the for loop. Then inside the loop, I will declare a map which I will be using to store the character's frequency inside the substring. And after storing that inside the map, I will just check if the map's size is equal to 3, then just increase the count by 1. If it's not, then just move to the next iteration. This way we can just check if the substrings that we are getting during the iteration contains distinct characters or not. Okay, now let's just go for the code. I hope you would have understood what I was trying to say. Otherwise, I will also mention it during the code. So as I mentioned, we will store character's frequency. So character will be char and the value will be int, because we are storing its frequency in the form of integer. Let's name it as store. You would be thinking why I'm declaring this inside the loop. I am doing this because we don't just want it outside the loop. The map's work is only and only inside the for loop for checking. So why just we take more space by declaring it outside the loop? Okay, that's the logic that I was having in my mind. Now let's just iterate, like use a for loop to iterate through the substring. Okay, internally we also need to iterate to store the frequency. So we'll use another for loop, and inside that, obviously we will start the for loop, the internal for loop for storing characters and frequencies. We will start by iterating from the current I, and we will move till the next 3 we can say characters, because we have a length of 3. So for example, j is 0, then we will move to 0, 1 and 2, 3 characters. Done. So j will run till I plus 2. Like if I is 0, then 0 plus 2, which means loop will run from 0 to 2. Our work is done perfectly. Obviously we will move forward, so plus plus, and simply we will use the stores mapping, we can say storing the frequency inside the map. Here we will write character, which will be s of I, and we will just do plus plus here. This is the way we can store s of i's frequency inside the store, where s of I, which is our current character, will be a key, and its frequency will be its value, which will be plus plus if it comes again. Okay, after storing that inside the map, as I mentioned, we will just check if the store dot size is equal to 3, then just increase the count by 1. done. That's what we just gonna do, as I mentioned. This way, after the completion of this loop, we will have a total count of how many substrings are present inside our input string, which contains distinct number of characters, which we need to do. So we'll just return the count that we were having. Let's just check if it works for the main test cases or not. Okay, so I think we got some errors. Let me just go through fast. Okay, I see that. Really sorry for this. I just wrote I instead of j. Like I was using iterator of loop instead of nested. Really sorry for that. So let's just check if it works. So yeah, main cases works perfectly. Now let's check for the internal edge cases. So yeah, that also works. But as you can see, the runtime that it's beating and the memory, both of them are like really low. You can just see how much less it is for both the parts, both the complexities. So now you know that obviously it can be optimized further too, because we are using a hash-based structure as well as nested loops, like both through time as well as space. We are doing much bad for just checking if the substring's length is 3 or like substrings contain distinct characters or not. Okay, so obviously we have a much optimized solution for this. Let's just go for that. Okay, we will just remove this part because we need count for returning at the end. So let's just think how we can move forward for the optimized part. Now, you know that our task is to just check if the substrings which are of length 3 contains distinct characters or not. Now, both of us know that if the substring must have been of length like 4, 5 or much bigger than 3, then it will be much harder for doing all of this process of checking without using hash-based structure or nested loop. But currently, according to our problem, we just have a substring of length 3 for checking or for doing all these processes. So it would be much easier for us without using all of these. How? We can just manually check, like if we are on current character s of I, then we will just check if s of I is not equal to s of I plus 1, as well as s of I is not equal to s of I plus 2, like first and third character, and the second character, which is s of I plus 1, is not equal to s of I plus 2. 3 checks if all of 3 passes by using AND operator. If all of 3 passes, then just increase the count. Otherwise, then just move forward to the next iteration. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. Let me just fastly give an example. During the iteration part, through the complete string, we will just check if x is equal to y, as well as with AND operator, x is equal to z, as well as with AND operator, y is equal to z. This way, we can easily check if all the characters present in our substring is distinct or not. Okay, if all of 3 are like equal in the condition, are fulfilling the condition, count will be plus plus, otherwise we'll move to the next iteration, the next substring. Simple and sorted. So as I mentioned, let's just iterate through the complete substring. Okay, again here also, as we are checking for the further characters, further 2 characters. So again, we will use the same exact condition that we were using for the previous brute force approach, which is that we will move till the last, we can say 3 characters only. That's all. So that we can check the further characters too. Okay, I hope you would have understand. It will be here plus instead of minus. So yeah, it's perfectly done. Now, as I mentioned, we will just check that if the current character is not equal to the next character, as well as the current character is not equal to the next to next character, which is like third character if we take first character as our reference, as well as the next character, which is second character, is also not equal to the next to next character, which is the third character. If all of 3 conditions passes, then and then only just increase the count by 1. That's all. Otherwise, move to the next iteration. Simple and sorted. Let me just check if it works for our main test cases or not. So yeah, it works perfectly. Let's just submit the code. So it would work. Let me just, so yeah, it works, and as you can see, from 11% to 100% of beating all the solutions, and from 8% 8 to 10 to 75% of the space. So this was the complete optimized solution. You would have just seen that for these type of problems where we have to deal with a much smaller length of substrings, we can just directly manually check it, manual way, instead of using hash-based structure or nested loops. So these was the complete conclusion for the problem, and these were the both approaches to solve this problem perfectly, brute force as well as the optimal solutions. So if you like the way I explain and solve the problem, you can like the video, as well as for more these type of tech and coding related content, you can subscribe to the channel. If you want to check other questions of LeetCode too, you can check my playlist of LeetCode problem solving series. It is given in the description of the video. Also, if you want to connect with me personally, you can use my social connections link present in the description of the video. Thank you very much for staying till the end. Thank you.